Hello world. Today I'm going to be making a video on cultural Marxism because I have been inspired to do so. I'm also going to be exploring the question of whether or not Karl Marx was an anti-Semite. So in this video, I am going to go over two articles, one from antisemitism.org and another from JSTOR. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so like I said, this first article can be found on antisemitism.org, and it is titled Cultural Marxism and Anti-Semitic Conspiracy Theory, posed as a question. And I'm just going to read one paragraph from this article. The links to both of them will be in the video description. And I do recommend that anybody who is watching actually read these articles so you can have a fuller context. But the paragraph that I will be reading goes as such. Cultural Marxism also has a darker heritage. The feeling that there had been a cultural and moral collapse in Germany prior to 1933 fed the populism of the Nazis. Cultural Bolshevism and Jewish Bolshevism were used as explanations by the Nazis for a supposed plot to spread sexual, political, communist, and other revolution throughout the Weimar Republic and the West, and to weaken and attack German culture as part of a wider international conspiracy. This idea, building on Mein Kampf and the anti-Semitic protocols of the Elders of Zion, has survived, developed, and is now used to suggest that the Jews in the Frankfurt School, Jewish people, other minority communities, or anyone with progressive beliefs are, as communist sympathizers, conspiring through media and academic domination to implement cultural Marxism and undermine Western culture or Christian values. So at the end of the paragraph there, they're really talking about, with the reference to media and academic domination, the idea spread by conspiracy theorists of the long march through the institutions. But ultimately, what can be said about this article and what it says is that cultural Marxism can be accurately described as having anti-Semitic roots that stem from its Nazi origins. So, moving on to our second article, Karl Marx and the Jews, published in Jewish Social Studies, written by Solomon F. Bloom. And once again, I'm just going to read about the first page of this article. So please read the whole thing if you want a fuller context. Was Karl Marx an anti-Semite? Certainly it is no secret by this time, despite the reticence of official socialist and communist literature, that Marx betrayed an unsympathetic attitude toward the Jews. Of what importance, however, was this attitude? Was it significantly related to his political or social thought? Did it seriously qualify the ideals he professed? This whole question has hitherto been left to the doubtful mercies of partisanship. Anti-Semitic enemies of Marxism have naturally made the most of the Jewish origins and ancestry of its principal leader in order to confound at one blow both Judaism and socialism. Loyal Jews, struck by his unfavorable expressions on Jewish problems, have frequently been content to put him down as the quote-unquote self-hating son of a renegade. On the other hand, socialists and communist writers have been shy to face squarely an issue which might reflect on Marx's reputation for humanitarianism and tolerance. The upshot is that there have been few attempts to analyze Marx's position objectively and comprehensively and to place it in the context of his outlook as a whole. The materials for such a study, it is true, are scanty and widely scattered. To some extent, his attitude toward the Jews was a minor reflection of wider aspects of his politics and personality. Small nations in general received rather short shrift in his international scheme of things. The right of national self-determination counted for little in his speculations on a possible reorganization of the states of the world. So when it comes to Karl Marx and the quote-unquote Jewish question, ultimately Marx saw the Jewish people as, quote, counting for little in his speculations, unquote. And in this vein, the Jewish people ultimately became a non-factor in his grander war on capital. So in conclusion, what we can say is that cultural Marxism is a modern incarnation of the Judeo-Bolshevik conspiracy theory. And that Karl Marx, while holding some hostile opinions towards Jewish people, was in fact a Jewish man himself and probably was not an anti-Semite.